All right, super. Yes. So to start with, UI UX is all about designing. So there's no coding involved, right? So अगर किसी को भी ये लग रहा है कि UI UX में डेवलपमेंट होता है, नहीं होता है. So you can be rest assured about that. कि UI UX में डेवलपमेंट नहीं होता है. It is not about Figma also. There is a misconception कि अगर Figma आता है तो आपको UI UX आता है. That's a misconception. It's a misconception कि अगर आपको XD आता है तो आपको UI UX आता है. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. It is the other way around. कोई भी टूल हो, Figma, UI UX, it is just a medium to portray your thoughts onto a screen, onto a whiteboard. That's it. That's just a tool. It is not UI UX. ठीक है? Figma and XD आना is not UI UX. It is just a tool again. Now UX and UI are two different terms, but people call it as UI UX. But if you see, there are UX designers and there are UI designers separate. Okay. Now, what is UX? What is UI? Before we get into that, a little introduction about myself. Okay. So I have been in this field since more than 10 years now. I used to be a developer before, and in parallel, I also used to do UX and UI. So when I used to do UX and UI, there was no terminology as such. तब हम सिर्फ वायरफ्रेम्स बनाते थे, हम डिजाइन बनाते थे, बट ये स्ट्रॉन्ग टर्मिनोलॉजी नहीं थी अबाउट यूएक्स एंड द यूआई. वो पिछले कुछ सालों में आई है. ठीक है, इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग बेस आया है एंड कोविड ने उसको और एनहांस कर दिया कि अब सब कुछ ऑनलाइन हो रहा है, बहुत सारे डिजाइनर आएंगे, बहुत सारे प्लेटफॉर्म्स बनेंगे, आईटी में बूम है, सो यू ऑलवेज नीड अ डिजाइनर. सो इस वजह से वो पूरा एक बूम आया है अबाउट यूएक्स एंड यूआई. बट ये चीज पहले से ही थी, उसको भी एक नाम दिया गया है about UX and UI. So I've been doing this since long. So तब Figma भी नहीं था, तब XD भी नहीं था. We used to do UX and UI on Photoshop. We used to do that, on Illustrator. There were different tools जिसमें हम UX UI बनाते थे. And that is when, uh, we started using InVision, जहाँ पे वो सिर्फ प्रोटोटाइप करते थे. So पहले एक ही टूल में नहीं था वो. We used to do it on different tools. बनाते थे फोटोशॉप पे एंड देन फिर हम उसको प्रोटोटाइप बनाते थे किसी और प्लेटफॉर्म पर, राइट? सो दैट्स हाउ इट स्टार्टेड. So I used to be a front-end developer. I used to do HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, Angular, React. I've also done few projects on PHP. WordPress was my thing. So I used to be a hardcore developer, at the same time a complete UI UX designer as well. Okay. So that's when I previously used to teach front-end development also. Okay. But then I shifted completely to UI UX because that was something that I liked more. It's not that I don't know coding, or it's not that I don't like coding. I can still do it. By God's grace, it just takes me 7 days to learn any sort of programming languages, right? So, I mean, that's there. So I cannot leave coding or do it. I still do it at sometimes just for, hobby or passion. That's it. So coming back to UI UX. So I have worked for lots and lots of brands. So I worked with an agency called as Leonine Studio. I have been with them since inception, which is more than 10 years now. And in that agency itself, I handle a team of more than 10 UX designers, right? And I worked with brands like BMW, ICICI Prudential, Yes Bank, Hola Chef, and whatnot, right? So there are lots and lots of projects that I've done, more than 300 projects bare minimum that I have worked on solely for the UX and the UI. Yeah. So now, of course, there is a different team for the UI, but I used to do UI as well. So now I have again shifted corely to the UX. Yeah. So moving ahead, that's a little introduction about myself, and I also take up lectures now. I also have my own course called as UI UX Design Fundamental, which we'll talk about this later. Yeah. So coming to the UI UX again. Yeah. So when we are planning to become a UI UX designer, what's the most important part? When you go for an interview, when you go, say even on your LinkedIn or say on Monster or Naukri, wherever, the most important part on the platform is your portfolio, right? It's your portfolio, because unless you have a portfolio, how would someone judge you? पहले ऐसा होता था कि आपको कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछ लेते थे, अभी भी डेवलपमेंट में अगर आपसे कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछ ले, यू विल बी एबल टू आंसर इट. डिजाइनिंग में भी चलो बेसिक क्वेश्चन आपसे पूछ लेंगे, मैं रट्टा मार के चला जाऊंगा, आंसर दे दूंगा. बट इन यूआई यूएक्स इट्स ऑल अबाउट प्रैक्टिकलिटी. सो इफ यू थिंक कि मुझे बस फंडे मालूम पड़ गए, मुझे कॉन्सेप्ट्स मालूम पड़ गए और मैं डिजाइनर बन जाऊंगा, इट्स नॉट दैट वे. ठीक है, इट्स नॉट दैट वे. ऑनलाइन पढ़ के कोई भी कुछ भी जवाब दे सकता है. ऑनलाइन पढ़ के एवरीवन कैन आंसर ऑल द क्वेश्चंस ऑफ द इंटरव्यू. ऑनलाइन सब कुछ अवेलेबल है फॉर यूआई यूएक्स, लेकिन it is the practical approach and the portfolio that matters the most. ठीक है, so उसके लिए you will need the first thing, that is sincerity. If you are planning to switch your career, if you are planning to start your career, or if you are planning to do it as a side hustle, sincerity and consistency is the key. Why? क्योंकि in the start, if you don't practice, if you don't keep on designing something or the other, then there will be a problem. Then there will be a problem. क्योंकि जब तक आप प्रैक्टिस नहीं करोगे, पहली बात आपका टूल्स पे हाथ साफ नहीं होगा. दूसरी बात, यू वोंट बी एबल टू गेट दैट विजुअल आई. एक जो डिजाइन आई हम जिसको बोलते हैं कि ये चीज अच्छी है कि नहीं, ये चीज अलाइंड है कि नहीं, ये चीज ठीक है कि नहीं, वो एक क्या बोलते हैं ना, डिजाइन आई से आती है, जो विद द टाइम डेवलप होती है. ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको कॉन्सेप्ट्स पता चल गए कलर थियरी के, या आपको यूएक्स लॉस पता चल गए, ठीक है, या आपको ग्रिड सिस्टम पता चल गया तो आप डिजाइनर बन गए. नो, ऐसा नहीं है. इट नीड्स सिंसियरिटी, इट नीड्स कंसिस्टेंसी एवरी सिंगल डे. दैट विल ब्रिंग आउट योर पोर्टफोलियो वेल. सो आपने अगर एक दो प्रोजेक्ट बना लिया, डोंट थिंक कि हम डिजाइनर बन गए. नहीं, इट इज जस्ट अ स्टार्ट. आई स्टिल कैन नॉट से दैट आई नो एवरीथिंग. ठीक है, क्योंकि आईटी एक ऐसी चीज है जहां पर हर चीज हर दूसरे दिन कुछ नई चीजें इवॉल्व होती है. सो यू हैव टू लर्न, यू हैव टू स्टे अपडेटेड विद द नॉलेज. ठीक है, ओनली देन यू कैन सर्वाइव. सो इफ यू आर सिंसियर इनफ टू स्टे अपडेटेड, if you are consistent enough to design every single day, at least एक section, at least एक page, then you can move ahead and plan कि हाँ मैं career switch कर सकता हूँ, या I can get into this career. ठीक है, so we talked about what is UI UX. Coming to the first part of it, which is UX, user experience. ठीक है, so what is experience? So जब हम कोई ऐप यूज करते हैं, मान लो देयर इज अ एंड्रॉइड ऐप एंड देयर इज एन आईफोन ऐप. ठीक है, ऑफ कोर्स सबके अलग पर्सोनास है, सबके अलग एक्सपीरियंसेस है, एंड सबके अलग टेस्ट है. डिजाइन इज सब्जेक्टिव. किसी को टाटा की कार भी अच्छी लगती है, किसी को बीएमडब्ल्यू अच्छी लगती है. जिसको बीएमडब्ल्यू अच्छी लगती है, इसका मतलब ये नहीं उसको टाटा कभी नहीं अच्छी लगती है, एंड वाइस वर्सा. ठीक है, डिजाइन इज सब्जेक्टिव बट इट्स फॉर ऑल. ठीक है, एक्सपीरियंस कि जब हम बात करते हैं हमारे ऐप पे या हमारी मोबाइल सॉरी वेबसाइट पे, इट इज द फील दैट यू गेट, द वाव फैक्टर. अगर वाव भी नहीं, बट इफ आई से कि मान लो आप एक मैसेज ही भेज रहे हो, कंपेयर द सेम थिंग ऑन आईफोन एंड ऑन एंड्रॉइड. जब आप एसएमएस भेज रहे हो आईफोन पे, यू गेट वेरी स्मॉल माइक्रो इंटरैक्शन. ठीक है, और एक वो छोटा सा साउंड आता है, that sound and that micro interaction that gives you that feel. Oh wow, एंड्रॉइड में वो नहीं आता है. सो एप्पल क्या करता है, वो धीरे 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 सबकॉन्शियसली आपको उसकी हैबिट बना देता है ऑफ द स्मॉल माइक्रो इंटरेक्शंस, ऑफ द स्मॉल माइन्यूट एक्सपीरियंसेस, जिसकी वजह से यू स्टार्ट लाइकिंग एप्पल मोर. ठीक है, जिसकी वजह से यू स्टार्ट लाइकिंग एप्पल मोर. ठीक है, सो देयर इज अ वेरी गुड quote कि a user experience is how a user interacts with the experience, correct? How it interacts with and experiences a product, system or service. So कोई भी हो, कोई एक वेब ऐप भी हो, लेकिन अगर उसमें मान लो कुछ चीज लोड हो रही है, अगर मैं लोडिंग का साइन ना दूं, इट्स अ बैड एक्सपीरियंस. या फॉर दैट मैटर अगर उसमें ज्यादा टाइम लग रहा है लोड होने में, दैट इटसेल्फ इज अ बैड एक्सपीरियंस. सो यूएक्स का मतलब ये नहीं है कि ये सिर्फ आपका एक पार्ट खत्म हो गया मतलब आप छुट्टे, यू आर फ्री फ्रॉम इट, नहीं होता है. When it comes to UX, you have to take care until the project gets deployed, whether it's a mobile app or a website. Why? क्योंकि UX is a big process and UI and development is part of that process. ठीक है, UI and development is part of that process. भले आप खुद नहीं करोगे, लेकिन मान लो जब UI डिजाइनर UI बना रहा है, so it is the job of a UX designer to see whether the outcome of that UI is appropriate or not. Is it meeting the user's requirement or not? Is it meeting the business requirement or not? That's the job of the UX designer. फिर जब वो डेवलपमेंट में जाता है, then also it is your duty to see कि जब डेवलप हुआ है कि लोड टाइम ज्यादा है कि नहीं, क्लिक ज्यादा बढ़ रहे हैं कि नहीं. ठीक है, हमने जो सोचा था उस हिसाब से आउटपुट आया कि नहीं. That's all part of the user experience. ठीक है. Now let me give you a very small journey of a product, whether it's a mobile app or a website, so you get an idea where do you stand. So जब कोई एक प्रोजेक्ट आता है, क्लाइंट एक रिक्वायरमेंट लेके आता है हमारे पास, ठीक है, सो हम क्या करते हैं, सबसे पहले रिक्वायरमेंट गैदरिंग, जिसमें यूएक्स टीम इन्वॉल्व हो सकती है, यूआई टीम इन्वॉल्व हो सकती है, डेवलपमेंट टीम भी इन्वॉल्व हो सकती है. लेकिन इट इज द जॉब ऑफ यूएक्स डिजाइनर to understand the requirement and then make the necessary changes required for the project. So when it is, so I always call the UX designers as a bridge between the client and the business. When I say client, I mean the users and the business. It's always a bridge. So वो bridge जो है, ठीक है, UX डिजाइनर वो करता क्या है, तो यूजर की रिक्वायरमेंट भी सॉल्व करेगा एंड बिजनेस की भी सॉल्व करेगा. यूआई और डेवलपमेंट वो नहीं करेंगे, दे विल फॉलो यूएक्स डिजाइनर. सो सबसे पहले पार्ट आता है यूजर एक्सपीरियंस का, यूएक्स डिजाइनर का, जहां पे वो पूरा प्रोसेस फॉलो करते हैं. ठीक है. नाउ व्हाट इज दैट प्रोसेस? So these are some of the examples of experience. So imagine, कि इतने सारे options है for the navigation, correct? Every navigation has its own reason. कि अगर, if you notice, the logo is always on the left. Why it is on the left? Now this is all part of the UX. ठीक है. हैमबर्गर मेन्यू है तो वो ऊपर क्यों है, मेन मेन्यू है तो वो नीचे क्यों है, ऊपर क्यों नहीं है, like the website, correct? So that's how you think as a UX designer. यहाँ पर आइकन्स यूज किए हैं, यहाँ पर नहीं किए हैं, तो ऐसा क्यों है, सर्च बार बड़ा है यहाँ पर छोटा है, ऐसा क्यों है, correct? So all this is part of the UX designer. Now again, one more thing, a very good quote. Good design is like a refrigerator. When it works, no one notices, but when it doesn't, it sure stinks. So जब हम डिजाइन भी बनाते हैं, करेक्ट, या हम एक्सपीरियंस क्रिएट करते हैं, इट शुड बी सो सीमलेस कि नो वन नोटिसेस इट. उनको लगे हाँ ये ऐसा ही तो होना चाहिए, करेक्ट. दैट मीन्स इट्स अ गुड डिजाइन. दैट मीन्स इट्स अ गुड डिजाइन. लेकिन अगर कुछ प्रॉब्लम है, अगर मुझे टाइम लग रहा है, मुझे ढूंढने में समय लग रहा है, अरे यार ये कहाँ पर है, अरे ये कहाँ पर है, अरे ये क्या हो रहा है, वो क्या हो रहा है, इफ द यूजर गेट्स इनटू दैट थॉट प्रोसेस, देन इट्स नॉट अ गुड डिजाइन. ठीक है, देन इट्स नॉट अ गुड डिजाइन. सो यूएक्स में ये सारी चीजें आती है, वी यूएक्स लॉज, बिहेवियरल साइंस, एंड मेजरली this is the entire journey of only the UX guy. जो UX डिजाइनर होता है वो ये सारी चीजें करता है. क्या? सो यूजर रिसर्च करेंगे, जनरल रिसर्च करते हैं, यूजर पर्सोनास, जर्नीज, इंफॉर्मेशन आर्किटेक्चर, वायरफ्रेम्स. ठीक है. इसमें एक जो सबसे टॉप लेवल, इफ यू कॉल इट एज डिजाइन थिंकिंग, वो भी एक आ जाता है. ठीक है. So these are all the steps only for user experience. So जब कोई project आता है, so first all these points are taken care. जब wireframe पे हम पहुंच जाते हैं as UX designers, that is when the UI designers actually gets into the understanding phase. ठीक है? So मान लो client has given us the approval all the wireframes कि हाँ ये flow ठीक है, ये journey ठीक है, everything is fine. Then the project moves to the second stage, which is the user interface का stage. अब user interface ऐसा नहीं है कि UX हो गया मतलब project done. No. Then comes the part कि यूजर को कैसा दिखना चाहिए, यूजर को क्या दिखना चाहिए. ठीक है. तो सबसे पहली चीज होती है इसमें ब्रांड गाइडलाइंस. अब ब्रांड गाइडलाइंस हम नहीं बनाते. ब्रांड गाइडलाइंस हो सकता है कोई उनके पास ऑलरेडी है या ब्रांडिंग टीम बना रही है, उसकी अलग ऑफकोर्स टीम होती है. बट एज अ यूआई डिजाइनर, if you have the brand guidelines, you understand that brand guidelines. वो ब्रांड गाइडलाइंस में क्या हो सकता है, एक ऑफकोर्स उनका लोगो के बेसिस पे उनका कलर पैलेट के बेसिस पे हो सकता है उनका फॉन्ट. ठीक है. फॉन्ट में भी देयर कुड बी हेडलाइन फॉन्ट, देयर कुड बी अ बॉडी कॉपी फॉन्ट. ठीक है. देन comes their use of images or illustration depending on the brand tone. So understanding the brand guidelines is first thing for the UI designer. उसके बाद of course UX designer पूरा डाउनलोड देगा to the UI designer कि what is the project about, क्या सोचा है, क्या भूमिका बनाई है जब हमने wireframe बनाया था, what experience are we planning to give to the users. Correct. So that is all part of the UI team कि हम कैसे उनको पोर्ट्रे करेंगे कोई पर्टिकुलर चीज. ठीक है. So in that there are again different stages, say grid system, color theory, typography, graphics, prototype, micro animation. So micro animation it can be a video, it can be lottie animation, it can be scroll animation. Prototype is just making an entire design into a clickable prototype जो client देख सकता है, and also the developer. So once we are done with the user interface, that is when things move ahead to the development stage. जहाँ पर as it is जो डिजाइन बनाई है वो सेम डिजाइन जाती है फिर डेवलपर के पास. ठीक है. वो सेम डिजाइन फिर जाएगी डेवलपर के पास. So that is the process of a product. So when I say product, it can be a mobile, it can be a website as well. ठीक है. Now coming to the heart of it. ठीक है कि मैं यूएक्स करूं कि मैं यूआई करूं. दैट इज द क्वेश्चन. करेक्ट. एवरी वन ऑफ यू मस्ट बी हैविंग दैट क्वेश्चन कि मैं यूएक्स करूं कि मैं यूआई करूं. करेक्ट. सो आई गिव यू, सो लेट्स वी हैव दिस next 30 minutes a question answer round. So what you guys can do is you guys have a open message box. ठीक है. You have a messaging option. So one by one, start adding your questions. It can be anything. It can be as silly as what is UI UX. Again, I am happy to answer that. Okay. So we have 30 minutes. I would request every one of y'all to please post your questions and we can answer that one by one. Yeah. So yes, I'll give you guys the liberty to ask a question there in the message box. No questions, anyone? Yeah, hi there. Tell me. Yeah, what's the question, Uday? If we learn both. Okay. Yeah. So Uday, if you learn both UI and UX, there's no harm in it. and you should learn. The reason being, if you want to become a UI designer later on, for example, and if you have the knowledge of UX, you will be able to design better. Okay, but if you have only knowledge of UX and but you don't have the knowledge of UI, then there will be a very small, journey for you. So I would recommend learn both always. Always learn both, correct? But never focus only on one. Okay? Never focus only on one. So that is the answer to you. So Pratham has a question, what's the roadmap of a beginner? So for a beginner, the very first thing is if they are very much sure that they have to do UI and UX, correct? Opt for a course. In that course, make sure that you first understand the concepts and at the same time work on the portfolio. So don't jump directly to UI, don't jump directly to UX. Go step by step, okay? Go step by step. And once you do that, give yourself a time of at least 3 to 6 months. And again repeating, give yourself a time of at least 3 to 6 months. Else, if you feel that just by doing a 1 month course, 2 month course, 3 month course, you will become a designer, it's not possible. It's not like another degree that you have. Degree in UI UX doesn't matter. It's your portfolio that matters. It's only your portfolio that matters. Whether you are a beginner or you have 10 years of experience, it's only your portfolio. Yeah. So focus on the portfolio, focus on small details. So for that, you need the fundamentals very strong. All right. Pooja has a question. I want to ask you, if degree is important in this field, will the people from designing field be given more priority during interviews? Since I'm not from designing field, I work as a content writer looking to switch to UI UX. So it's a very good question, and a lot of people have this same thing. So let me tell you, in my agency, the lead designer is a BCom graduate. He is not a degree holder of any design thing, right? So again, it's the same answer to you as well, Pooja, that here the degree doesn't really matter. It's how creative you are, it's how better you are at communication. So one more factor, if you are planning to become a UI UX designer, you have to be a very good salesman. Why? Because you have to sell your design, you have to sell your thought to the clients. It's not that हाँ मुझे ये अच्छा लग रहा है इसलिए मैंने बनाया. It cannot be that. It has to be reason back. It has to be an approach. It has to be an approach that why we are doing this thing in a particular way. You have to answer the clients technically. Only then you will be able to convince the client. Okay, so degree doesn't really matter. Whatever degree you hold, it's completely fine. Doesn't matter unless your portfolio is great. You are in this field no matter what. All right. So I hope that answers your question, Pooja. I am Perumal. Hi sir, I've done my 3 month course on UX UI. After doing my course, I have one case study which I've done in course period. After that, what should we do? What are the practices we need to do to get jobs and improve our skills? So I would first say that reverse the question, the last line, improve your skills and then go for the job. Okay. So what you need to do is to start with, if you are good enough with the fundamentals, if you know the fundamentals of UX and UI, just create one screen a day. Practice one screen a day. It can be of a website, you can replicate it. You can take up some dummy project from ChatGPT, Gemini, etc. You can ask for some dummy project and you can work on that. But you have to make sure that you design one at least every single day. Unless you design one page a day, you won't achieve perfection in the design. You won't achieve the details that are needed in the design. Correct? So for example, if you see the screen right now of Google Meet, there are many small detailings, the border radius, the size of the buttons, the size of the fonts. So if you don't understand just by looking at it that, oh, it is not matching the actual layout, it is not matching the actual design, that means you are still a little far from the details. So it is all about the details when it is about UX and UI. Sketch बना के कोई भी बना देगा. Figma use करना again is not UI UX. So it is the details, it's the eye for details that needs to be developed while practicing. So sorry. So sorry. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question, AM, that you need to practice at least one page a day. It can be website, it can be mobile app, anything. But keep on designing and don't try to show it, to everyone every single day. Oh, मैंने ये बनाया, ये बनाया, ये बनाया. Just keep designing, keep designing. ठीक है. एंड ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है कि अगर आपको पोर्टफोलियो बनाना है तो आपको आपके ड्रिबल पे डालना है या आपको बिहेंस पे डालना है. नहीं, just keep it ready. So whenever someone asks for your portfolio, you can also give them the Figma link. That's fine. That's completely fine. Even if you give your Figma link, for them, it's the design that matters, not how you present it. It's not that. It's the knowledge, and at the same time, it's what you have designed. That's it. Okay. Akshay has a question. I have 6 years of experience in Twitter, but now looking for career switch, but need some roadmap to it, like course or education, etc. Cool. So, Akshay, as I mentioned, I also take up a UI UX course, which is 21 days. So, by the way, it is for everyone now. That I'll be coming up with a new batch from 1st of April to 17th of May, and we will have 3 lectures in a week. It will be in the evening, so even the people, even the guys who wants to switch their career can join the lectures, which is 8:30 in the evening till 10 p.m. Yeah, and it is not only about lectures. It is not only about explaining the concepts. It is, but at the same time, these are live sessions where I will be designing myself, you will be designing yourself on the call, on the lectures, and I'll be giving live feedback on the lecture itself as to what can be done better, what are the mistakes, what is good, what is not good, correct? So all that will be done on the lecture itself. So it's a very live lecture oriented approach, the entire batch, and at the same time we'll be completing 2 projects. So again, if you follow everything time to time, you'll be able to complete those 2 projects. If you feel that only by attending the lectures, only in those 21 days you will be becoming a UI UX designer, I am saying no. Though I am taking the lecture, I am saying no, you won't become, but you will have everything that you need to become a UI UX designer. From there on, after the batch, you will have to practice every single day, and whoever joins the batch, I'll be their mentor throughout the life. It's not that only for that particular period you can ask me questions. So I have completed 3 batches right now. Okay, this would be my 4th batch, where will still ask me, if they have some doubts or if they are coming up with their portfolio, they still ask me as to what can I do. Okay, so that is about the course. So if you wish to join, you can do that as well. Now coming to Swarna. Hello sir, I have practiced a lot, but now I am looking for internships or job or freelancing. But as I have learned everything by home, I feel like I have no connection, which is giving me hard time finding clients. Okay, so Swarna, what I would suggest is, if you are a fresher, okay, don't go for big companies. This is for everyone. This is for everyone. Don't go for big companies. Majorly it is majorly the startups that will give you a very good start. Reason being, in the startup, you will learn a lot. In the startup, you will have the liberty to explore things. In the startup, you will have a lot of work to do. Whereas in big companies, okay, you will only get a piece of it. You'll get money. But when you are young, work to learn, not to earn. That's the funda. That's the funda, right? So it's always work to learn, not to earn in the initial part of the career. So Suvarna, I would say apply in the startups. Even if they are paying you say 5,000, take it. Take the experience and get a good job. Unless you get the experience in this field, correct, or you have a very good portfolio, you won't be able to survive. Okay. So that's why always take whatever job you get to start with. Don't bound yourself. I want this, I want that. No, take it. That's it. Take it. And if you are planning to be a freelancer, I would say don't, because right now the entire bubble is such you'll get hell lot of freelancers and experienced freelancers who are working for a very cheap cost. So where will you stand? Nowhere, because you don't have experience, because you don't have a good portfolio for now. Of course, you might be a good designer. I have not seen your work or anything, but I'm just saying that if I still compare a beginner versus uh, at least 1 or 2 years of experience, they'll have more work to show compared to you right now, right? So I would say at least go for some internship or some job, whatever you get, even for a very low scale. But once you get that, after that, you can jump a lot, right? So Uday, yeah. So your question was which one first, sir? So I would say always go for UX first, anytime, because UI is part of UX. So always complete the first part, you know, very strongly, which is the UX. Yeah. So Akshita has the question. Can you please tell me how can I improve my UI skills and how to make an outstanding portfolio? Again, same. To start with, copy some designs in Figma or whatever tool you use. Just keep on copying, keep on repeating. So that way you will understand the detailings, you will understand the alignment, you will understand the font size, you will understand the very nitty-gritties of the design. So that is how you can improve your UI skills by creating every design again and again and again. So if you see Google Pay, just replicate that. If you see Google, replicate that, right? Any website that you see, replicate it. So what will happen is slowly and steadily you will realize, oh, this was my mistake in the previous design. Now I should not do that. Oh, this is what is common in all the designs. That is the learning from. Yeah. Hamsika, what all should one know to master UI design? All right. It's a very broad question. I would say no one can say in today's world that he's a master of UI design. Why? Because there are many things to take care. So even in the UI design, there are so many concepts. There are different types of designs. There are different types of approach. You know. So if you see websites like awards, you will see so many different websites coming in. So no one can say that only one designer can do it or even master can do it. Some new guy or beginner can also do it if he has the creativity, correct? So don't, I would say, don't go to master the UI design, but I would say enjoy the process. In that learning, you try to learn something every single day. That's what I still do even after 10 years. I try to learn something or the other every single day. It can be a small thing, something in the button, you know some sort of color approach or some sort of gradient. Why not? Or a different icon style. It can be anything, correct? So keep on learning every single day. That's the first suggestion I would give. And again, the second suggestion, as I mentioned to Akshita also, that keep on designing every single day. It's all about the practice. It's all about consistency, as I mentioned before. If you don't be sincere and be consistent, you cannot master anything. Forget UI design, right? So you have to do that thing to master UI design as well. So I am experienced graphic designer, 5 years of experience, Mayur Pandey. How my journey would be to switch? Will I be able to join as argument? All right. So this is a very good question. Who are switching to a different field? So Mayur is a graphic designer, correct? Now he wants to switch. Of course, he'll be having a good package after 5 years of experience. So what do we do is, many times, you have to play smart with your resume. You have to play smart in your interviews to at least try and get the same package. So what you can do is, you can in parallel create a portfolio, okay, with few projects that you can showcase in the interview. And in the interview, you can portray it such that you are a freelance UI UX designer also while you are working as a graphic designer. So in my current company, there's no scope for UI UX. So that's the reason I'm switching to UI UX now, because I find it more interesting and it has more scope for me. Okay. So that is how you can say that I at least have 2 years of UI UX experience and I've done projects in freelance, whatever. And that is why I am, you know, uh, asking for this particular salary, because I was working as a designer. I know in and out about graphics. I also know in and out about UI UX design. Correct. So that is how you can approach Mayur. If you already are working somewhere and you want to at least try and match the current package. Yeah. Hope that answer your questions. Kevin, how a portfolio should look like? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how your portfolio look like. It should be just the design of mobile or website. That's it. You show it in Figma links. You send your Figma links in the email to your clients or to interviewer. That's completely fine. There's no need to upload it somewhere. So that's your answer, Kevin. Vaishnav, Google course on design. Okay. So I have come across many guys who have done this course. But honestly speaking, it's not for beginners, because the concepts, I mean, not the concepts, but the terminology that they are using, correct, can be drilled down to a very simple language. But since they are from Google, they have their own process. They many times talk in those process, in those terminology, correct. But it's very difficult for a very basic, you know, guy to understand the entire Google design course. Of course, with experience later on, you can understand it pretty well. But at that time, you will feel, oh, I already know this. It's just the terminologies that are changing. That's it. All right. So Jiva, it's very basic intro. You teach high fidelity prototype and motion design for me. I didn't get that question. Sorry. If you can elaborate a little more, Jiva, on that. Okay, so now I'm a 3D artist also and recently working on 3D websites. Also, while coding them, what can be scope for them? Scope for whom, Suvarna? Yes. For internet, what does the recruiter looks for in design? At least get internship. What uh, should be done? So, Kevin, again, a recruiter only looks for your portfolio. If the designs look good, you are good enough. You are placed. That's it. A very simple rule. If the portfolio is fine, you will be called for interview. You will be called for any rounds. So, okay, there are websites which look like 3D game world. Okay. So, Suvarna, what happens is, okay, now I get a question. I'm a 3D artist also and recently working on 3D picture while coding. Then what can be the scope for them? So again, you don't really have any sort of, requirement for the coding when it comes to UI UX. Okay, but if the requirement from the client is of a game or say something about 3D, correct, so of course there's no such element that you can add in the UX, but in the UI you have to think through about the journey. Okay, you have to think about the journey as to what happens when I scroll. Does this 3D element move? Does this 3D element travel? Correct. So that is something what you'll have to think on, and that will be a very good process in the UX itself, because in the UX you will think through it, that, oh, let me first that is what you call it as whiteboarding or storyboarding, you know, in different terms. But in UI UX, we take this in the UX phase, where we complete the entire UX, we complete the entire wireframe, which is nothing but the storyboarding. That if there is a 3D element here, what happens when I scroll down? Okay, this travels here. Then what happens if I scroll down? This changes to particular image. So if you see the website of Apple Vision Pro, you'll get this a very good example of how 3D elements are used. You know, even iPhone's website. I hope that answers your questions. If not, you can please answer question that again. So I don't know anything about UI UX. I'm from finance background and I can handle, but I'm very creative. I know what it. So if anyone is willing to learn UI UX and they are sincere about it and they can spend their time in designing every day, they can become a UX designer. Doesn't matter whatever you feel, whatever field you are from. Yeah. So coming to EM's question, can we place day-to-day copy design in portfolio? How to learn the skills efficiently, and where can we refer the skills? Is missing any day-to-day design copy in portfolio? So yes, you can put that as well. You know, so in your portfolio, say for example, today you are designing one screen of say Google Pay. Tomorrow you are designing one screen for Craig. Third day you are designing one screen of your own project. All of that you can add to the portfolio. But in the interview, I would recommend give the ones, you know, that are not replica. The reason being, they know as to the thought behind Cred, the thought behind Google is not yours. So in the portfolio, they also see your thought process, not only the design. Okay. So when you replica something, you are getting hands-on on the details and on Figma or XD, whatever. But the thought process that I should place this particular image here on the right and not on the left, that is something that they will look into. Yeah. Okay. So how AI can help UX UI? Okay, I'll come to that. I was talking about the designs like Joshua's world. Okay, just a second. Let's see. Joshua's world. Okay. So yeah. So for this particular website also, what happens is there is a UX and there is a UI. Okay. Now major part of this is actually UX because before even starting or getting into 3D or designing anything, very complete storyboarding is done for such website. You know, where you actually decide what will happen. Correct. So you have to sketch it out that the loading would be something like this. So when someone clicks on explore world, it would be something like this. So that is part of the UX. And then you move ahead to the UI where you actually start designing one frame, correct? One frame into whatever tool you use. So you can use Blender or you can use, you know, any 3D software that you like, of course, which one you use. But yeah, that's about it. So that's the process for such website also. So the process remains the same. It's the thought process that's needed. How AI can help in UI UX? That's a very good question. So there is a misconception first saying that with AI you will lose your job in UI UX. No, that's not the case because there are tools that of course give you wireframes and design also. But imagine a project say like Google Meet. You cannot rely on AI to give you all the screens for a product. Of course you'll need a designer for that. They can give you a suggestion, they can give you some idea as to what can be done. Okay, but they cannot give you entire UX UI. So AI will help the UX and UI designers a lot, because you can then do the research easily. You can do the secondary research pretty quickly. You can get the dummy content, for example. You can get the dummy content from them, right? If you don't know as to what particular section should I add on this particular page or website, that can be helped through AI. So all those thought process stuff can be taken help from AI, but of course they won't be replacing you as designers. Yeah. So let me see if I've missed some question. From April, your batch is starting, but we are having final exam for TY. Can we meet? All right. So if you have your exams, I would recommend that you can, you know, join a later batch, which is after, say, April. So I've not yet finalized what would be the next batch and when would be the next batch. But yeah, I'll suggest, that you can join after that. Okay. So cool. So pretty good question. So anyone else with some more questions, or should we close the questions round? Anyone else, or are we done with the questions? No one? And if when the next up when the next upcoming batch starts, all right, will 21 days be enough? So as I mentioned, Mayur, 21 days would be enough for you to understand the entire UI UX fundamental. It would be more than enough, because we would be doing live learning. As I mentioned, in 21 days, don't think that you will become a UI UX designer. So I'll give you an example. There are many courses out there. Okay, so now coming to the next last part of this seminar. So there are many courses out there. All right. So few of them are of course free on YouTube. You can see it. You can understand what is the concept. That's fine. Then there are few paid courses. So if you see 10K designers, if you see growth school, you'll see their pricing starts from 60,000, 85,000. And what they do is, you know, I'll give you a very open feedback. So of course, it's all how, again, it is also subjective, but they call on big guys of, say, Zomato or Swiggy or whatever, I don't know, but they call other guys, they share their experience, that this is what we do at our office. But if you see, you know with that experience you only get knowledge. As a designer, it's not going to help you design something. Okay, that's one thing. Second thing, the fees is super high for all the courses. Okay. Third thing, I again repeat, there is no shortcut in UI UX. There is no shortcut. You have to give yourself time. So this particular course that I'm coming up, the fourth batch, which starts from 1st of April. So I'll also put this in the chat for everyone. It starts from 1st of April and ends on 17th of May. All right. So here what happens is, we do the live designing of the wireframe, of the UI design, also the research and everything, right, live on the lectures. And with those live sessions, I'll be explaining you the concepts. And it won't be just me explaining the concepts and then you guys designing it. No. So it would be a practical sessions. So will 21 days be enough? No. I am saying it no. But in those 21 days, you will learn everything about UI UX, that without even my uh, you know uh, intervention, or even without my help, you will be able to start designing compared to what you can do right now. Okay, so if you don't know anything right now, or if you have some knowledge, definitely after 21 days your thought process, the way you think and the way you design would be completely different. That I can assure you. Okay, but after those 1.5 month. Okay, I would say give yourself at least 2 more months, and in those 2 more months, design something every single day. So you'll be designing 60 screens after 2 months. So when you design 60 screens in 2 months, of course you will get better at something. Of course you will be better than what you are right now. Correct? So those 21 days will give you that push, will give you that boost. So when a rocket launches, right, it needs that thrust to launch. So that so this course is nothing but that thrust to leave that layer of the earth. So that is there. But after that also it does not reaches the destination. You still have to keep pushing. You have to keep pushing. Correct? And I will always be there throughout the life forever. Of course, till the time I'm alive, I'll be there to help you guys, to guide you guys. So if you guys need some help with your portfolio, if you guys need some help to discuss about the interviews, of course in the course we'll also take care as to what you should focus on when you go for an interview. Is your portfolio good or not? So that would be on one-to-one basis. So you can keep on designing and you can send it to me and I'll be giving you the feedback, right? So if you design something, so I'll be giving you the feedback in the live lecture itself, you know, so that everyone knows that if same mistake is done by 10 other people, so everyone knows कि ये तो मुझे नहीं करना. And if something is doing good, even that would be appreciated. So everyone knows, oh, I should do something like this, you know. So the next batch starts on 1st of April and ends on 17th May. The fee structure is 25,000, but whoever has attended this seminar, of course, there is an offer that I would love to run, you know. So for them, it is just 15,000 and not more. So I would recommend that if anyone is willing to join, feel free to ping me on WhatsApp. I'll just add my number also here if you still don't have it. Yeah, so that's my WhatsApp number. Ping me that you are interested and you can register for the course. You'll receive all the schedule for the batch and everything once you register. Correct. So you'll also get the meeting invites beforehand for all the lectures. So you will know as to when are my lectures. You'll have that tagged to your calendars also. You know. So yeah. So that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. Any questions regarding the course? Feel free to shoot. I am still here for another few minutes. And by the way, the course includes UX and UI both. So it is not only UI, it is not only UX. It is UX and UI both. Any questions? No one? All clear? If you still have any doubts or if you need the syllabus, yes, you will receive the certifications. You will receive certifications after the course. Yes. So you can also log into this particular website, which is ruchiram.in, where you can get the entire syllabus as to what will be covered in the course. Yeah, and also post the course is done, I can also provide like an unpaid internship. So that internship would be nothing but I'll be giving you task for a month that you can practice. So that is also you can think of. So it's up to you whether you would like to do that or not, but it's open. If you still wish to, practice with me for a month, I'll be giving you task. Once the task is completed, I'll give you another task for a month. This entire process will, continue. So even after that 1.5 month, you will still be in touch with me for another 1 month and practice. That unpaid internship will have LOR as in No, nothing of that sort. It is just for practice. But of course, it won't be like the lectures. It would be a proper how you work. You know, the task would be given accordingly. You'll have the timesheet to fill in, so you will get a feel as to how it is like to work as a UI UX designer. You know, at least for a month, you will get that feel after the course that if I become a UI UX designer, this is the work that I have to do. This is the mindset that I have to keep. In my company, this is how I'll have to work. You know, I'll have to fill in the timesheet, I'll have to update, all of that needs to be done. Any further questions? No, no questions. That's it. All right then. Cool. So I think then this is it. This was, you know, about the UX UI. I hope I have answered your questions well. If not, I'm still here. You can ping me. And yes, you also have my number. You can ping me on WhatsApp. You can also email me. And yeah, hoping to see you all on the other side of the course. Yeah. And all the best for your futures. And if you have any doubts, again, I'm all here. On the WhatsApp also, feel free to ask me anytime. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Have a nice day and have a very bright future. Looking forward to work together someday. Thank you.